From the streets of El Paso, Texas, to the halls of the White House, Rebecca Contreras is living proof that transformation is possible. As a high school dropout and teen mom, she began her journey in a welfare-to-work GED program and landed her first job in public service with then Texas Governor Ann Richards. Her drive and leadership launched her upward as she served under President George W. Bush as a White House commissioned officer and later as Chief Human Capital Officer for the U.S. Treasury, leading HR for over 100,000 federal employees. Rebecca then co-founded Avant-Garde, a consulting firm now spanning 7 states with over 100 consultants. She's also the best-selling author of Lost Girl, a powerful story of redemption and grit. Her heart for service didn't stop with success. Alongside her husband of more than 35 years, she founded Launchpad, mentoring for underserved youth and lifting up the next generation of girls through her Girls of Legacy program. But for Rebecca, her proudest accomplishment is her family. From humble beginnings to national leadership, Rebecca brings fierce wisdom, inspiring courage, and a call to action for those willing to rise. Please welcome Rebecca Contreras.
So great to be with you today. I wanted to just share with you. I want to thank Sharon and her team. Everybody give it up for Sharon and her team. The board, incredible, incredible people. So adult learning and adult professional development is my jam, and I had the opportunity to meet her about a year ago, and somehow she found me. I forget how, but we had a connect, and I fell in love with her heart and passion and the work that you all do to empower and help people transform their lives. What an incredible story earlier from the young lady that spoke. Just amazing. So this is my family. I do have my daughter in the room with me today. Where is she? Crystalline, she's in the back. You're gonna hear her story. She's amazing. She's been on my team 7 years now, and I'm honored to have her with me. What an incredible journey we have been on, she and I together. This is mi familia. Yes, we are a little bit of everything. We represent the great diversity of America. And the greatest joy of my life is to be grandma. How many grandmas do we have in the room? Nana, as they call me. So amazing to have a beautiful team. Just thought I'd share some pictures of my time. I had the honor of serving under Governor Bush, first Governor Bush and President Bush. I started my journey with the iconic Ann Richards here in Texas back in 1989 and 90. And when the governor was elected, I went as a civilian servant to serve with him in the White House, and these are some of my fun, amazing pics. The pic on the new pic, the 2025 pic, is actually the Bushes today. By the way, if you guys are staying in Dallas, the Bush Library is one of the most innovative libraries as far as digital visuals. I would highly recommend a visit there. And then here is my very first boss in Texas government in a welfare to work initiative that I entered, working for just an incredible, iconic woman. And these are my Girls of Legacy. So I'm all about paying it forward. I believe that we are given success for a reason, and we're supposed to turn around and pay it forward. We have a program here in Texas. We've given over 100,000 in scholarships to 16 girls. All from the inner city in my hood where I grew up, and we helped really provide an education for them. And I hope to be able to connect with you later on. I'll be in the back at our book table, or I think downstairs at our book table. Hope to meet you and connect with you. I love when people come together for a common cause. It's such a powerful thing when you bring the armies of compassion, you guys that are out, boots on the ground, educating and supporting and advancing and helping humans reinvent, helping humans advance their professional development, their skills, expand who they are in order to contribute something to society. And I love that that is your mission, and I've learned a lot about what you guys do over the course of the last year in talking to Sharon, and you all are what my former boss Bush used to call the armies of compassion. out in America, doing good for communities all across and changing the millions and millions of lives that you have an opportunity to impact through training and development. So I want to kick us off this morning by telling you a story, my story. Someone who would absolutely have walked into your doors for help, begging for help. I was 5 years old when my mother told me she was going to the grocery store and never came back. My sister was 6 months old and in the crib. 3 days later, a neighbor called my grandmother. We were living in the hood in El Paso, right at the border of Juarez, where you could cross over back then, and said, Graciela has left and she's left the kids. You need to come get them because I'm calling social services. None of my 3 siblings and I knew our fathers. We all had different fathers. And what we experienced in our childhood would rival any Hollywood Netflix drama. And the dysfunction was intense. Those formative years growing up were the ugly years living with a woman who was mentally ill and a drug addict. Fast forward to age 7, when my mother decided to return after living on the streets of Juarez on heroin to reclaim her children. Thankfully, mi abuelita, my grandmother, did not give us up to her at that time. But you know, as a young girl, I couldn't understand why my mother left me. Why did she choose men and drugs over me? And why would she allow a so-called uncle to take care of me who sexually abused me at the age of 5? Why would she believe me? I felt like I was born into a pit that I had to keep digging my way out, but it just kept sucking me back in. Fast forward to age 9, when my mother moved us to the hood in East Austin. She had so-called found religion and had a transformation and took us away from the only stable home I had, mi abuelita. But I wasn't interested in her religion, and what I knew about her, I hated. So out of hate and anger, at the age of 13, I repeated the cycle of dysfunction that I knew all too well. You know, financial and physical poverty is one thing, but emotional and spiritual poverty took my hell to a whole nother level. Eventually, the inevitable happened, and I spiraled out of control at the age of 16 and got involved with an abusive man, 10 years my elder. He was one of the biggest drug dealers in Austin, and I found myself pregnant and out of control and dropped out of high school. By the age of 18, my life was a riddled train wreck. I put myself in horrible compromising positions that should have landed me in jail or dead. Then out of nowhere, through a divine intervention and an encounter, I met a woman who decided to take a chance on me. I enrolled in a Welfare to Work initiative program sponsored at the time by the state of Texas through a grant very similar to what you do here. And I landed a job as a single mom struggling on welfare, doing my best to try to get off of welfare, working for the iconic Ann Richards. Shortly after I met Ann, and there was another, she ran for governor and went off to be governor. I stayed in that state office, and I met another woman who came in following her trail, another iconic woman by the name of Kay Bailey Hutchison. Under Kay's administration, when she was the state treasurer, there was a woman who took a chance on little Rebecca. I met a woman by the name of Donna Reynolds. She was my boss in that entry Welfare to Work program. She was Kay's HR director. You know, Donna saw in me something that I didn't even recognize in myself. She saw my eagerness to learn and a spark that ignited in my life at that time. She was the game changer in my life. She took me under her wing in state government and taught me everything I knew about HR. She took the time to enroll me in professional development classes at the LBJ School of Public Affairs, and I learned everything that I could about HR and management. She took the time as my boss to counsel me, to mentor me, even in my young journey on how to be a wife and a mother. I had married the love of my life, now almost 35 years married next month, David Contreras. I didn't know how to be a mom. I didn't know how to be a wife. None of that had been modeled for me. My mother wasn't married. My grandmother wasn't married. But Donna was, and she took the time to invest in me. And little by little by little, she helped me to get out of my own personal pit. I was recently with Donna here in Dallas. She's retired now in her 80s. And I said to her, Donna, what did you see in me? What was it? I had nothing to offer. I was a high school dropout with a GED at this point, no skill, eager to learn, but no education. What did you see in me? And she said, Rebecca, I saw that you had drive. I saw that you wanted so desperately to learn. I saw your potential, and I knew that if I could just invest in you and give you a pathway, you would soar. This transformative encounter, mentored by Donna, with someone who was willing to help me, to believe in me, to support me, to roll up her sleeves and get in my mess, filled me with purpose and faith. The faith that that woman had in me was powerful. I started to believe that all of a sudden I had value, that I could change the life of my own journey and my 3-year-old little girl, Crystalline, for the better. That I could get out of the poverty and that self-destructive cycle that I was in. I could envision the possibilities in front of me as if a light over my darkness had turned on. And I saw that although all of the odds were stacked against me, and I had little to offer in terms of education or skill set, I could still overcome those obstacles. I could work on me. I could get therapy. I could work on the issues of hate and unforgiveness. I could work on the destructive habits that I have built and reshape my future. I didn't have to fall victim to being a statistic Latina, pregnant high school dropout. I didn't have to be a stereotype, and those generational cycles of addiction were not mine to bear. I didn't have to be what my mother was. Enough had been enough. It would end with me and my generation. I had the power to be the hero in my own story. Those early years and the ones that followed, I had a choice that I made daily, deliberately, with intention. I learned how to change, face my trauma, face the hopelessness, face the addiction, face the setbacks with grit and with resolve. I was determined that I would do it every day, and I would live today like there was no tomorrow, because in fact, there is no promise of tomorrow. And perhaps the most important lesson that I learned is I could not do it alone, but I needed the people in my life, people like my life partner, David, who believed in me, was the first person to believe in me, was the first man to treat me with respect. And that woman, Donna, who believed in me, they were willing to help me. I leaned heavily on those mentors and those people alongside me to help me in my transformation process, because none of us make it on an island by ourselves. That transformative process started me down the road of forgiving my mother, forgiving my abusers, and finding my own journey to healing. And understanding that I was not trash to be tossed away or forgotten, but that I had value, that I was a woman with gifts and purpose. The impact of those early choices in my life put me on a course to discovering the true Rebecca of who I was put on this earth to be. And it's a map that I lay out in a very detailed, painful journey in Lost Girl. If someone had told me when I was 17, addicted to drugs, on welfare, high school dropout, teenage mom, Rebecca, one day you're going to be an advisor to the President of the United States. Rebecca, one day you're going to be a mother and a grandmother. Rebecca, one day you're going to be able to leave a legacy and invest in Latina and African-American girls for generations to come in their education. Rebecca, one day you're going to be the fastest growing demographic here in our great state of Texas and in America, owning a multi-million-dollar business as a woman entrepreneur. I would have laughed in their face and probably used a few choice words. But you never know. Who would have thought that I would be married almost 35 years when I saw no healthy marriage in my sight? And yet, here I am, loving and living my life purpose. I've allowed my story, lost girl, not to define me in my past, but to fuel my potential in my future. Lost girl will always be a part of me, but my past does not define me. I decide to define me. For the students that are here today, I know I'm speaking to you later, you decide your path to define you and who you want to be, what you want to do with your future. The influence I have gained to pay it forward that leaves a legacy not only for my children and my children's children who will never know lack, who will never know pain, who would never know abuse, who will never know poverty and addiction. I've changed it for them. My husband and I both have put our stake in the ground to say, we're changing it. He also comes from a single-parent home and spent 10 years addicted to cocaine. And he put a stake in the ground saying, enough is enough for him. Today, I have the incredible honor of mentoring these amazing girls of legacy, all from inner-city Title I schools. And these girls are incredible. They are badasses, if I may say, amazing. They will absolutely cure cancer, become doctors, lawyers, judges. They are so smart, so much smarter than I was. But today you have an opportunity to leave a legacy. And what you do matters. What you do every single day for this organization matters. It matters for the people that you are investing in. It matters for the adults that are coming into your doors or that you're actually coming to helping. It matters for them because investing in human potential is a powerful thing. When someone like me has someone like you invest in them, it changes things in the atmosphere. It changes things in the community. It changes things internally in that individual. I want to share 3 compelling thoughts with you. What you do in your work every single day for this organization matters. It matters because of that human potential and the educational and learning journey that you're taking these individuals to reinvent, to start over. I love your core mission. Moving adult learning forward for economic mobility in America. That is a great mission. And your Move Ahead adult program for adult learners trying to better their lives, for opportunities and careers, to get out of poverty, to create a pathway for them, wouldn't otherwise happen without what you do. And many other programs that I know you do, the prison reentry, the prison program where you go into the behind doors and you teach people that are in prison how to learn and how to be literate. I'm a high school dropout. Anybody back in the day remember fundamentals of math, +1 + 1 is 2? Does anybody remember that? Am I the only one that's in her late 50s here? I know, I see some of y'all. Remember back in the day? Well, I was in fundamentals of math, and because I was stupid, so I was told. I'd love for those people that told me I was stupid to see me today. Nobody is stupid. Everybody has tremendous human potential. They might just be facing challenges, trauma, pain that prevents them from learning. I have ADD. My husband will tell you, squirrel, and I lose track of things. But you know what? I'm a brilliant CEO. And yes, I can say that because I finally know who I am and I have confidence in my ability. And I love being able to communicate to you. When Sharon invited me to be here, I said, absolutely, I will be there. It's my jam. Who knows if some of those 2 million plus people I hear you guys are serving, I guarantee you there are Rebeccas in the mix. Think about that human potential that you have the opportunity to impact. Ladies and gentlemen, people that grew up like I grew up do not have the opportunities to do what I have done, but for that individual and those mentors and those people that believed in me, that told me I could, supported me along the way and paved the way for my success. Yes, I had to work hard, and yes, I had to put, grit into it, and yes, I had to get away from my negative influences and bad choices, and yes, I had to work on myself. But without the people in my life that invested and believed in me, I would not be. So you never know that potential. I call it the God potential, the divine potential that someone has in their self that only you can untap through the incredible programming and support that this organization does. So never underestimate the power that you hold in your belief of others, and never underestimate especially the less fortunate. Because when you're less fortunate, you have a grit in you to want to do it harder, right? And nothing's taken for granted when you don't have what you have. And I actually have this joke, my husband and I joke with our kids, we're like, let's just try to take away a little bit so that they can feel the pain. My daughter's like, Mommy, please, no, don't do that. But you know what? When you struggle and when you're less fortunate, there's something that builds character in you to say, I want this, and I'm gonna work really hard to get it. So never underestimate that. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, but whether we provide enough for sustenance for those who have little. Think about that. Will you make a choice to provide more for those who have little? Because that little that was provided in my hands, I multiplied into much. Number 2, the choice is ours. The choice is ours to lead with resolve, love, and with peace. We are living in a chaos climate. Anybody feel chaos? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one because I'm involved in politics. I work in Washington, D.C., live in Austin, and commute. I've been doing that for almost 20 years since I left the Bush White House. I have my whole team. I would say 80% of my team is centered there, about 130 consultants now across 9 different states, and most of them are in Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. And whose job is it to maintain peace? Is it the world peace guru? Probably not. What about in our own home? What about in our own circle? What about in our own community? And even against all odds, when everything hits the fan, maybe things just hit the fan in my life. It's our job as leaders to just decide to draw that line and say peace. Peace and love and resolve, and model that regardless of all the noise and the chaos around us, regardless of everything that we face. And the way that we do that is by maintaining strength in our emotional health, our physical health, our spiritual health, our body, our mind. We have to walk in peace. I saw resolve modeled by my former boss of 12 years, President Bush, first Governor Bush and then President Bush. I actually tell a whole chapter in Law School is dedicated to my experience. I was in the White House when 9/11 hit, and a week after 9/11, meeting with him in the Oval Office. And I don't care, you never know. Every president is criticized. You never know until you're at that seat, right? Every president, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Nobody should criticize anybody when you're going through crises like that. But I saw resolve leadership for me that was demonstrated in, it doesn't matter what's going on around me, I'm gonna lead and I'm gonna stay in peace regardless of the chaos. And that's a really difficult thing to do when you are faced with crap, when you are faced with issues, when you're faced with trauma, when you're faced with, things getting cut off, I know that there's a lot of turmoil right now, and I just would encourage us all to be focused on peace and get resolved and develop grit and passion and perseverance and the persistence to stay the course together. There are 3 Ds that can happen in your life when you let the environmental factors impact your work and you as a person. Number 1, the first D is deflate. Number 2, the second D is delay. And number 3, the third D and most deadliest D is derail you. Do not allow what's going on today to deflate, delay, or derail your purpose. Do not allow it. And number 3, and the last thought, is embrace this season of change with optimism. Identify your areas of control and take stock and inventory today on the impact that you're going to make, not only in the work that you do, and so incredible angels that you are in the community, but with your family and your circle of influence. So identify the areas of control, acceptance, and acknowledge that you can't control everything and all the external events that are going on today in America or in your community or even in your family. I want to tell you a brief story. In 2022, at the launch of Lost Girl, I was on a book tour, and a crisis happened in my family, and it was with a dear loved one that I loved, and everything came to a halt. And I don't know about you, but Miss Mama Rebecca is the protector and wants to rescue everybody. Are we like that, women? We like to fix and rescue this. I could not rescue this. I could not fix it. And I had to halt and evaluate, why is this happening? But I had to learn how to walk in peace and how to just be still and know that when I can't control things, it's okay. And in the middle of the crisis and the chaos that I was going through, I still had to learn to love in peace and trust that it was going to be okay. Getting the right people around you to encourage you, to speak life into you, to tell you when you need to redirect. And also, I'll never forget one of my girlfriends when I said to her, I'm on this US-wide tour, I'm getting ready to go do an interview, and everything breaks. And she said, Rebecca, I am not going to let you break. You are not going to break. Get people around you that will invest that in you. My go-to favorite is the Serenity Prayer. It encourages us to accept the things we can't change and course to change what we can and wisdom to know the difference. It's an angel prayer that works. Winston Churchill once said, we make a living by what we get, and we make a life by how we give. God bless you. It's been an honor to be with you today. Thank you for what you do.